There's a certain image when one thinks of the Portland Trail Blazers. I think you know what that image is, but I am curious as to what you think it is and how it affects you.
After the game, though, the players had to be separated. A little jawing, I guess. Easy, guys. Not even to the All-Star break yet.
Both teams play hard, my man.
The majority of the media and people out there always think of us as the jail Blazers.
They were the bad boys of the Northwest.
Pippen to Wallace, knocked away. Wallace got it back, scores, plus a foul.
Now Rasheed Wallace is going to have to be very careful.
A collection of players and characters tossed together in haphazard fashion, collectively forming teams that became infamous despite limited success.
There's the miss. That'll be it. The Los Angeles Lakers, for the second consecutive year, have swept the Portland Trail Blazers.
From perennial excellence to perennial dysfunction. This is the story behind Portland's Jailblazers era. For nearly 3 decades, beginning in the mid-70s, the Trailblazers were a model of consistency and small market excellence. It began with a Bill Walton-led championship in 1977, with the great Blazers teams of Walton and head coach Jack Ramsey eventually giving way to Portland squads led by Clyde Drexler and Rick Adelman in the 80s and 90s. The Jailblazers moniker was first bestowed upon the team heading into the 1996-97 season by the Willamette Weekly's Maureen O'Hagan, who wrote a cover article about the legal issues many players on that year's roster had dealt with in the past. But as the 21st century approached, Rip City still had Blazers fever, and understandably so. Portland made the playoffs 26 times in 27 seasons, with a new-look team that saw Scottie Pippen join Rasheed Wallace, Damon Stoudemire, Steve Smith, Arvydas Sabonis, and Bonzi Wells, fueling championship hopes again during the 1999-2000 campaign. A 59-win Blazers team found itself in the Western Conference Final for the second straight year and the 5th time in 11 seasons. But a Game 7 collapse would set the franchise back for more than a decade. After rallying from a 3-1 series deficit against a top-seeded Lakers team led by Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, the Blazers blew a 15-point fourth-quarter lead in Game 7. A 29-9 Lakers run not only ending Portland's season, but kickstarting a dynasty in LA. General manager Bob Whitsitt had seen enough. Feeling as though he needed to shake things up if the Blazers were ever going to get over the hump, Whitsitt embarked on a series of moves that backfired, ultimately tanking the franchise and his own career. It began with signing and trading Brian Grant as part of a 3-team deal with Cleveland and Miami that brought Shawn Kemp to Portland. Whitsitt then traded promising but little-used big man Jermaine O'Neal to Indiana for veteran Dale Davis, believing Davis and Kemp could help the Blazers deal with Shaq's physicality in an eventual playoff rematch. The ensuing season then tipped off with an opening night loss to the Lakers that saw Shaq post 36 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 blocks, and ended with a humiliating first-round sweep to the Lakers in which Shaq averaged 27 points and 16 rebounds over 3 games. So much for that. Meanwhile, J.O. blossomed into a 6-time All-Star in Indiana. Portland's lone All-Star was making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Wallace was suspended once by the league and twice by the team during that 2000-2001 season, most famously for throwing a towel at Sabonis' face during a late-season loss to who else but the Lakers. Rasheed was also ejected from 7 games that year and broke his own single-season record by accumulating 41 technical fouls. During that derailed campaign, the Blazers signed former fan favorite Rod Strickland only a couple months after his second drunk driving conviction in 4 years. With the beloved Sabonis retiring soon after and Pippen on his last legs, questions about the Blazers' leadership void and chemistry issues began to dominate the conversation, with coach-turned-analyst Doug Collins referring to Whitsitt as a rotisserie league manager. Head coach Mike Dunleavy paid the price, despite winning 64% of his games, a Coach of the Year award, and 4 playoff series in 4 seasons on the job. Dunleavy was fired during the 2001 offseason and replaced by rookie head coach Mo Cheeks. Whitsitt's biggest move of the summer brought far more criticism, however. Looking for a scoring punch off the bench, the The Blazers signed Ruben Patterson away from the division rival Supersonics only months after Patterson's sentencing for attempted third-degree rape. He also faced a 5-game NBA suspension to begin his debut season as a Blazer. Had Patterson remained in Seattle, he would have had to register as a sex offender. On the court, the remnants of a contender remained, but the Blazers never lived up to the hype. A 49-win Portland team was swept out of the 2002 playoffs in the first round by, you guessed it, the Lakers. Meanwhile, the off-court drama continued. 20-year-old rookie Zach Randolph, who was supposed to represent a brighter future for the franchise, was arrested for underage drinking on Memorial Day weekend after police stopped the SUV he was driving because it matched the description of one being used by gang members. The combination of annual disappointments on the court and personal transgressions off of it began to wear on the Blazers' once fervent fan base, with attendance and local TV ratings plummeting. As one fan wrote in a letter to the Oregonian early in the 2001-2002 season, cheering for the Blazers today seems almost dirty, tantamount to selling one's soul for a cheap thrill. As Wells once told Sports Illustrated about those very Blazers fans, we're not really going to worry about what the hell they think about us. They really don't matter to us. They can boo us every day, but they're still going to ask for our autographs if they see us on the street. That's why they're fans and we're NBA players.
It was always supposedly had said that it was some beef between myself and the fans or a couple of players on the team and the fans, but it's no beef at all. No matter if everyone says you're a good player or everybody says that, you suck or whatever, you still got to go out there on that hardwood and do your job.
The team would somehow sink even lower the following season. After Wallace hit a game winner against the Warriors in December of 2002, a skirmish between Wells and Golden State's Chris Mills erupted into an all-out brawl. When Oakland fans began throwing gum and plastic beer bottles, Wallace and some of his teammates needed to be restrained from going after them, a chaotic scene that foreshadowed the malice at the Palace 2 years later. A post-game fight was the least of Portland's worries that season, though. Patterson was fined $100,000 after he was charged with assaulting his wife, who later declined to press charges. Wallace, Stoudemire, and rookie Quintel Woods were cited for various marijuana-related charges, with Woods reportedly giving officers a rookie trading card when asked to produce his license and registration. Meanwhile, Wells was suspended 1 game for spitting on Spurs forward Danny Ferry, though Wells' agent alleged that Ferry's racist language sparked the incident. Wallace was also suspended 7 games for allegedly confronting and threatening referee Tim Donaghy, yes, that Tim Donaghy, in the Rose Gardens loading dock after a January 2003 contest. Finally, a fight at practice between Randolph and Patterson left Zebo suspended and Patterson with a fractured orbital socket that limited him in the playoffs, where Portland fell in 7 games to an ascendant Mavs team during the first round.
Rube and Quintel, they having a little beef over, a little foul and shit. So, coach like, all right, yeah, man, whatever. It was a foul. Like, let's get back to playing. But, man, they took that shit personal. So, it's like they was like face to face, like Rube and Quintel was like this face to face. And then, like, we all saw it. I didn't expect it. Out of nowhere, Zach came and pow, hit Rube in his face. He hit him in his eye. And as we found out later, that he fractured his orbital socket.
God damn.
It was during that 2003 series versus Dallas that Wallace, who had grown tired of how he and the Blazers were covered by the media, provided one of the most unforgettable post-game press conferences in sports history.
Both teams play hard, my man.
Do you think it was a good game? Do you think both teams play hard?
Both teams play hard. Both teams play hard. Both teams play hard. God bless and good night.
The absurdity and dysfunction was finally enough for Whitsitt, who left the Blazers behind but remained team president of owner Paul Allen's NFL franchise, the Seattle Seahawks. The news was met with a good riddance from Blazers fans, who never got over the fact that Whitsitt, formerly a Sonics executive, resided in Seattle while running the Blazers. With Whitsitt gone and a chance for a fresh start in front of them, Allen and new team president Steve Patterson instituted a code of conduct for Trailblazers players ahead of the 2003-2004 season, as well as a 25-point pledge to their jilted and now jaded fans. Still, just a couple weeks into the new season, Wells was suspended 2 games and stripped of his co-captain title for berating Cheeks on the sidelines during a loss in Dallas. To give you an idea of how fed up with Wells' antics Blazers fans were, when he was traded that season for Wesley Person, a 32-year-old reserve averaging less than 6 points per game, Person received a minute-long ovation upon checking in for his Blazers debut. Wells wasn't the only casualty that season, as Wallace was later traded, with Person, to Atlanta in exchange for Sharif Abdur-Rahim, Dan Dickau, and Theo Ratliff. 10 days after that, the Hawks flipped Rasheed to Detroit, where he would help the Pistons win the 2004 title, taking down Shaq and Kobe's Lakers in the finals. With Wallace gone and the team further disintegrating, the 2003-2004 Trailblazers finished 41-41, missing the playoffs for the first time in 22 years. Winning basketball had left Portland, but controversy would linger behind a while longer. Darius Miles, who the Blazers acquired early in 2004, was suspended 2 games during the 2004-2005 season for verbally berating Cheeks during a practice, with Miles reportedly referring to Cheeks as a lame duck coach he didn't have to listen to. A couple months later, Cheeks was indeed fired, but Miles' issues were far from resolved. The following season, Miles clashed with new coach Nate McMillan. Disillusioned by a lack of playing time, Miles even changed into his street clothes during halftime of one game during the 2005-2006 campaign. Shortly before the incident between Miles and Cheeks, the Blazers waived Woods after he pleaded guilty to misdemeanor animal abuse stemming from allegations of dogfighting. By the time the Jailblazers era had reached its nadir, some were even calling for the NBA to give the entire Trailblazers franchise an NCAA-like death penalty. Out of the concrete bloomed the City of Roses' new flower, however, as 50 and 60 loss teams at the end of the Jailblazers era allowed for Portland to acquire and/or draft young talent like LaMarcus Aldridge, Brandon Roy, and Greg Oden, paving the way for a return to the playoffs in 2009. The legacy of the Jailblazers is a complicated one. There's no doubt those Blazers teams of the early aughts sullied the reputation of what had been one of the NBA's proudest franchises. But there were also undeniable racist undertones in the criticism of Portland's most maligned players. Through a modern lens, the litany of marijuana-related charges and headlines seem especially overblown. Still, few teams have had as many serious off-court issues or instances of in-house dysfunction as those Trailblazer squads did. No matter your sport of choice, we'll almost certainly never see teams quite like those again. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button.